Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking the first of two looks through my vintage American paperbacks. So I've not got thousands and thousands of these, I've just got maybe a couple of hundred, and we're going to look at the first half or so today. They are all from key American classic publishers, and there's quite a lot of sci-fi. There's there's just a really good all-round selection. There's classic authors, there's some crime titles, there's quite a bit to see, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy looking at it. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay, kicking off then, we've got a few of these which are ace doubles. So if you have a look, these have got two books in one, and the books weren't particularly long, but you could finish one book and then flip it over and you had another one to play with, which was pretty cool. I've got a little handful of these, and honestly can't remember. I haven't picked one up in a long time. That one's got a bit of pencil on the inside cover here. I've had them a long time, but I haven't picked up one recently for, well, I can't remember the last time I got one. I did see a few recently in Hay on Wye. I didn't sort of check out the pricing, but I think they're all about £6 or £7 a pop. I've just had a few that have come my way sort of over the years, you know, and I've never really got rid of any because they're so cool. I believe the sci-fi ones are quite collectible, but the crime ones are even more so, and I don't think I've got any crime ones at all, maybe an odd one. But, well, we'll have a look anyway. But that's, yeah, D94, Ace Double, number 94. Pretty cool. Ace did a lot of science fiction. Now this one, actually, this is a crime one, number 147. I think this is probably the only crime one I've got. Very much of their time. Sort of trying to invoke a bit of sleaze as well as it being a decent crime book as well. Nothing I can really do about this. It's got a little pen inside. It's got that sticker on the front. I guess that says Folkestone, so it came over to the UK, but it's in a bit of an old state, that one, but we won't hold it against it. Just happy to have any of these, really. This is particularly nice. This is a Philip K. Dick, great science fiction author, and beautiful jacket on that one as well. The World Jones Made. And on the back, Margaret St. Clair, perhaps not so good, but Philip K. Dick, fantastic to have these. When were these published? This was 1956. Very nice indeed. That I don't think these Dick ones are massively rare, but I do believe they're quite expensive. That's probably, I don't know. If I put that online, I'd put at least a tenner on it, I think. 176, Margaret St. Clair again, the Green Queen. And on the flip is the 3,000 Years, Thomas Calvert McClary. Bit of hair in there. I got to admit, I have this little 95 down there. I've been really looking forward to going through these because it's been absolutely ages. Well over a year or two since I've had any of these out, and they were, to be honest, when I pulled them all out to sort of get them into publisher order, ready to do the next couple of videos, there was loads, the odd ones that had come here or there, and it was really nice to get them sort of a little bit more organised. We'll see them in a minute, but I have had a little run of like vintage Ballantine books, and it was nice to get them all sort of out in one hit. So here's D193 here, the Spaceborne EC Tub, and then another Philip K. Dick. Look at that, The Man Who Japed. How cool is that? Another great cover. This one's not as nice condition as my other Philip K. Dick, but even so, I'm not complaining because there's no way I'll get another one now. Not unless I get rather lucky. I'm not sure, but these may have been ones that came possibly into the shop or just came in job lots. I really can't remember. This is a later one now, Ace 413. This has got a great Harlan Ellison, The Man with 9 Lives, on that side, and then that one, A Touch of Infinity. So it's a Harlan Ellison double. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? He's a great author, and one that I've sort of got more and more into as time's gone on, really. No little marks on that one to worry about. And then the town took off. And the Sioux Spaceman, Andre Norton. That's a great cover, isn't it? Look at that. That's really nice. Little stamp on the inside front cover there. On this side, PAJM Mass. Now, I can see sort of in the reflection a little bit of like surface wear and dirt, which I'm hoping will come off quite nicely when we get these processed. Brian Aldiss, Bow Down to Null. Brian W. Aldiss, look at that cover. It says first book publication, so this might actually be a Brian Aldiss paperback original. And on this side, Manty Wade Wellman, The Dark Destroyers. A little bit of yellowing of the pages in that. And on this side, I can see, well, it's pretty deep, so there was a price there at some point, but I'm going to give it a little rub and see. Yeah, whatever was there seems to have come off. So that's cool. Lovely. Very, very nice to have these. And I've got one more, actually. One more Ace double. It's this one here. Double for D465. The Atlantic Abomination. John Brunner. Also says first book publication. So this might also be a PBO. And on the back, The Martian Missile, David Grinnell. And we're going to see a lot of this sort of classic 50s and 60s SF titles here, because if they came my way, there was no way I was going to let them go if they were nicely priced, you know. That one I can see a very faint 15p. So the price was indeed right. I'm just going to get that rubbed out now. There's a name there as well, but I'm not going to be able to do anything with that one. But 15p, they were the days, weren't they? Lovely. I'll pop that wedge over there because I've got some more Ace books now, but these aren't doubles. This is just a normal Ace. It is still a D, so it keeps the numbering going, but it's not actually a double, and this is just a single standalone. Jeff Sutton, Space Hive, another great jacket on that one. I do vaguely remember getting this one like a year or two back. This was fairly recent. It was from a collector who had some beautiful science fiction books, and they were all bought from brand new, so they were in tip-top condition. I mean, that's 60 years old. Here's obviously come to the UK because it's got a TP 1 and 9, and you see the TP in there, and it's like an Indian's TP, and that's where they get their name. Thorpe and Porter is what it stands for. And this was the Disney adaptation. So this is the Disney tie-in to, is it 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? Master of the World. Yes, it's not 20,000 Leagues. I wonder if it says inside here. No, it just says an adaptation for Master of the World, with starring Vincent Price and co-starring Charles Bronson. I don't think I've ever seen that one, you know. Initially, I just thought it was that was inside the Nautilus, you know, but it's not. Anyway, quite a nice one to have. I'm not going to turn that one away. Very nice indeed. And that's it for the Ace books. So we'll move on to Avon now. So this is my one and only Avon Agatha Christie. They're quite scarce over here, as you can imagine. A Holiday for Murder, which, what was the original title for that one? It's Hercule Poirot. Usually they say the original titles in this. This is one I can't remember off the top of my head what the British name was for this one. Yeah, it doesn't say. A Holiday for Murder. It may have been Hercule Poirot's Christmas, possibly, because it's a Hercule Poirot one. I think that's probably a good bet. Still got a little bit of the glossy laminate on this one, but very, very scarce. I remember getting this one. This is a few years ago. That's got a name down the side there. It was a few years ago, I would say probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And I was visiting a National Trust property, which was Chartwell, which is Sherlock Holmes, Winston Churchill's old house. And it was one that he sort of bought and developed and kept maintained. Very, very lavish estate, and one which was very expensive to buy, but he was able to sort of keep it running on the proceeds of Churchill's war memoirs. And anyway, in the National Trust bookshop, lo and behold, they had this one. I did pick up a couple other bits and pieces as well, but that's where I vividly remember picking this one up. And although I don't collect the American Christie's, I think they are a bit garish compared to the British editions, which is enough to be collecting, to be honest. If I see them come my way, obviously I am going to pick them up, but I don't have many Christie's in American editions. Possibly, I think I've got a couple of Dell Mapbacks, which are in American editions. But still, that was really nice. It was only about 50p or something like that. Here's a great Avon, one of my all-time favourite books, outright. It's in my top 5. George Orwell's Down and Out in Paris and London. Absolutely fantastic. If you've never read it, it comes highly recommended. George Orwell, the author, goes undercover basically and pretends he lives life as a tramp, as a vagrant. Exactly as the title says, he does it in Paris and he does it in London, and he recounts what happens to him while he is without very little money and living a hand-to-mouth existence. It really is quite something, that book, and if you've never read it, I would recommend it. Another little Avon here. These are when the Avons get bigger later on, but this is the earlier ones, so they're in like this traditional sort of American size, not A format. This is Asimov's Second Foundation, Galactic Empire, so another SF one. This one looks, oh look at this, oh my goodness. Oh no, I've had it a long time, so we'll let it off, but let's see. So those pages there seem okay. This block here, the glue has aged. So what I'm going to do, it's okay, I'm going to just go through here and get off any sort of loose bits of old glue. Then I'm going to just re-glue it with some Pritt stick, so we'll be alright. But this is the sort of thing that does happen on 60-year-old books. If, before I got hold of it, the book had been stored in, say, quite a hot environment, that would have been what would have caused this to happen. So let's carefully lift this up again. Okay, and then I'll do the same thing on this one, but I don't want to ruffle it too much because it's actually quite a nice block. It's just if there's a little bit on the surface that wants to come off. Right, now I've recently got a new Pritt stick, a brand new one, and unfortunately, because I'm going to be putting this onto quite an old block of glue here, it's going to make quite a mess of my Pritt stick, but that's okay. I'm sending it in, I'm sacrificing it. But thankfully, because it is a nice block, it's gone on really, really well. It'll be much easier to apply it to that than the actual book. So in this particular case, I'm only going to do it on that. Usually I would do it to both sections to get the best possible glue, but I don't want to make it any worse because it is literally falling to bits. But by doing it like that, that should be just enough to keep it in one piece for the time being at least. I'll give that a minute or two to dry out, and then when we come back I might do the bottom of that spine there possibly. yeah, apart from that, it's not overly a bad copy. It's just the glue has monumentally aged really, really badly. And there's not a massive amount I can do about that. But there you go, that's okay. Now, we've got one more in this smaller... Oh, they were the Avons. I'm back to some Ace books now. So these are slightly out of place. I've got, yeah, I've got another small Ace book. So, as I said, I picked up a few recently, so we'll slide this one back in. This one here should go right in there, and it's A Mania for Blondes. Look at this, a fantastic jacket. Once again, it's an import one with a TP on, by the author of Moral Squad, Samuel A. Cransney. Beautiful copy of that, isn't it? That looks virtually unread. But that actually should be going, in the grand scheme of things, in there. So slide that one into place. And then I've got another Ace one, which I know I've had this one for years. Hoaxes, Curtis D. McDougall. Fakes and Follies, Hoaxes. I've had this for years. It's in quite a rough old state. Probably the first time I've looked through it in decades, I think. I thought that was a mark, but it's just a stain. It really is quite a rough one, this. But I'm going to keep it. I guess around 1960 there or thereabouts. So that's also an Ace. So that should also go in there, because now I'm back onto the Avons again, and we got some absolute corkers. I've got 2 more, is it 3 more, 4 more? I've got a few more Avons to come, so let's just make sure they're in order. So 328, 357, 417. Yeah, so these next 5 are all Avons, and they're all in order. So this is quite a collectible book. This is by Chester Himes, who's become quite a noted black author. Sadly departed now, but he wrote some really great stuff. I read these, I don't know, back in the 80s. I had some old Panther editions, and I made a point when I started picking up vintage paperbacks of getting my favourite authors, and Chester Himes was one of them. Another one was John Wyndham, of course, and George Orwell. So you'll see a few Chester Himes. So this is a PBO, and it's from 1959. That's a real collectible book. That's probably, I mean, I really don't know, but probably £30 to £40 maybe on that one. The Crazy Kill is another one which was an Avon original. Perhaps not as collectible as the other one, because that's got the fantastic cover artwork on, but still very, very nice. Same author. These are all released as Penguin Classics, Penguin Modern Classics over here these days. That's how highly regarded they are. This was a classic. If you collect vintage paperbacks, you've probably heard of this one, Reformatory Girls. It was around that sort of time where a lot of the American publishers were trying to put a sleaze angle on literally any fiction that they had. It's quite a collectible one, just sort of within that genre, and it came my way. It's got a little 3 inside, like £3. That would have been cheap back then. I don't know really what this goes for today, but my suspicion is probably the best part of about £20 or so, maybe even a little bit more, to be honest. But it's an absolute key book if you collect vintage paperbacks, American ones. It's one of those ones, sort of a woman in prison sort of title. Another sort of later Avon one now, Chester Himes again, and it's A Rage in Harlem. And this isn't a PBO, but it's still one that I wanted to pick up because it's a Chester Himes. That's absolutely fine. Now we've got the last Avon, which is Mute Witness. Now this, Robert Pike, this may or may not ring a bell with you, but this was the original book that the film Bullet was based on, the Steve McQueen film Bullet. Super rare, this one. It took me a long time to find even this beaten up old copy. I'm a real fan of Bullet. And when was this published? July 1966. The British edition, which is published by Penguin, is much, much easier to find. But that's a movie tie-in, so that probably had a much bigger print run. Anyway, I think that's a good point there to give this first batch a bit of a brush down. So I'm going to break them into sort of smaller piles here, so I can get to them a bit easier and hold them in my hand a bit easier. So these are all fairly uniform in size, which is quite good news. They're traditional, very, very small American paperback size. Over here in vintage paperback land, it was really just corgi, and some of the early British pocketbooks were published in this size as well. But this was the standard size in America. And I've got to say, I really have been looking forward to going through these, because they were well overdue a good sort out and a clean. And when I put them back on the shelf, I know they're going to be looking really, really smart compared to how they were looking, which was, to be honest, a bit of a mess. After I've done these American ones in a couple of videos, I'm going to have my British ones to do, which is going to be sort of British miscellaneous publishers. And that's going to be another couple of vids at least, I would think. But we'll see. I need to sort of do a few more Penguin and Pan videos just to keep those rolling along, because else I would have done all my books and I'll still be going through those, and I'd like to keep it sort of balanced and varied if I can. Very pleased with how the channel's been growing lately. It's been fantastic. We're over 900 subscribers as I film this, so we're fairly close to the magical 1,000, which would be nice to get to sooner rather than later. So if you're on the fence, or if you've not subscribed just yet, please do hit that subscribe button. It's a messy old business, this, isn't it? But what a better day, what better way rather, to spend a summer's afternoon. It's very, very hot in here in the UK at the moment. We've been going through a real sort of heat wave, really. But I've had some time off. I've had some time to do some reading. I've been enjoying going through some classic stuff. Predominantly science fiction is what I've been reading just lately, and a few titles that I realised I'd not read, so that's been good to catch up on some of that. Okay, right, so award books don't have much in the way of these, and this is a classic Nick Carter, Killmaster, Saigon. Nice jacket, isn't it, that one? I think I got these, you know, I can't remember. It's got like a little something on the side there. Literally cannot remember where I got this one. Got a little anomaly on the side there, I can't quite get it off. I think it's where the edge of the book has been sort of biffed a little bit, so there's nothing to actually get off there, unfortunately. First printing, 1964. Okay, and here's another one which I probably got at the same time. A Bullet for Fidel. Very much of the time, aren't they? There's a lot of these Nick Carter books, sort of very early sort of men's adventure titles. 1965, so they're cool. Right, now we start on my run of Ballantine books, of which I've got quite a bit, to be honest. I try and pick up all the SF ones, but I've got some other genres as well, which we can take a look at today. But these are Ballantine books. They're numbered. This is number 16, and this is the first of a mini-series within the series of Star science fiction stories. They're printed on really sort of heavy stock paper, so the books are quite heavy, but they're beautifully produced, lovely jackets on them, and I think they're very, very nice indeed. 1953, this one. And yeah, they're nice, these, and I think you'll enjoy looking through them. This is another fantastic series that I really, really like, and I must get round to at least getting some of the later 60s ones, but they never turn up in the UK, so the only real way to get them is to find them from eBay USA, or get them imported through Abe's. This is number 34. Best American Short Stories from 1953. This is a series that's still going to this day. It was edited by Martha Foley, who edited a massive, for like 50 years she edited the series. And I absolutely love short story anthologies, and there's all manner of really great names appear in this series. And I just wish when I got those back in the day, and it was, when I say back in the day, I'm probably 10 to 15 years ago, the dealer had a load of the 60s and 70s ones in the same series, and I didn't pick them up. I'll learn. Okay, John Wyndham. So Ballantine didn't actually have Day of the Triffids. That was a popular library, I believe, and I have got it, so we'll see it later on. But this was the Ballantine edition to the Kraken Wakes, which they released over there as Out of the Deeps. I actually really like Kraken Wakes. I know, a lot of people say it's like a bit of a poor sequel to Day of the Triffids, but I like it, I've actually got the first edition of Kraken, but I've got it without of the UK edition in hardback, but without a dust wrapper. So I've got a small amount of books that I'm going to be getting new dust wrappers from the Facsimile Dust Wrapper Company in San Francisco, and they've got the British Kraken Wakes, and I've got Either Jury by Mickey Spillane, the US first of that one without a wrapper, and also a Dick Francis for Kicks, which is a very rare Dick Francis, which I've got in a wrapper, but my wrapper's being up. Star Science Fiction Stories number 2. This is Ballantine 55. I said they're really cool, these. You can see why I love them. Absolutely superb. I think they are quite tough to find in really nice condition, just because of their age now. 65, 70 years old. Arthur C. Clarke here, Ballantine 68. Prelude to Space, one of his early classics. Yeah, they're all right. None of these are mint, but they're all pretty nice. Number 71 here, Heroes Walk. An extraordinary novel of the future and one man's strange triumph. Robert Crane. Nice. Ballantine were a really good outfit, what a publisher they were. Well, still are. Ballantine are still around today, aren't they? Yeah, 1954. Treating these quite carefully because I think they're quite brittle and they're probably easily broken. Another Star Science Fiction, Star Short Stories, number 89 in the Ballantine series. Nice copy of that, actually. Yeah, that's quite nice. Here we are, Star Science Fiction Stories number 3, another beautiful copy. I remember picking, I think I got 5 of them, and they were off the same chap. And once again, I think he was the original owner, and they were beautiful. And these were imported. See, this is ones that I bought in the UK. That's a real lovely one, that. Here we are, Rebirth, another Wyndham. Ballantine 104. So this would have been the very first printing of this one. Lovely, very, very nice indeed. Wyndham was such a great author, wasn't he? He really, really was. One of my favourites. Just wish he'd written just a handful more books, really, more than anything. But sadly, that was not to be. So, this one's also got a little name inside, and I believe this is the American edition of the Chrysalids, which is not one of my favourites of his. But it's okay. That was 104. Now we've got another one in the Best American Short Stories. This is for 1955. Big thick books these. But very much from their time. I know that one's okay. That's cool. And this is a Ray Bradbury. Look at that, The October Country. Valentine 139. Another great one here. Look at that, what a great jacket. Very, very, be lovely to have a nice mint one of these, wouldn't it? Very much of the time. A scarce book, this. There we go, it's got a little, it says December 27th, 61. Maybe that's when whoever originally owned this, that's when maybe when they bought it. They just put a little date on the inside to remind them of when they bought it. So that's pretty nice. Now another Wyndham. Tales of Goose Flesh and Laughter. Now I believe this one, when it was released in the UK, it came out as a book called Jizzle. Jizzle with a J, and it's quite a scarce 4-square paperback, which I have got, but it's quite a scarce one. Yeah, it's like a little compilation of books. Yes, this has got a couple of marks inside, so we're going to get those out in pencil again, so we're okay. That book is a bit too thick to use, so I use this as a moth. That's a bit more the correct size. And we'll get off this 1956. It is so satisfying to know that once I've been through these books, that they're in the absolute best possible condition that I can make them. You know, the only thing missing really is going back through them again now that they've been cleaned, and bagging them all. But to be honest, I don't really relish the thought of doing it, you know, because I love just being able to go to the shelf, see a book that I fancy, and not have to go through the rigmarole of debagging it just to read it, you know. I'd much rather just have them on the shelf. But I know, to be honest, long term, it's the way to go, because paper is not getting any younger, and it's just it will eventually just disintegrate unless it's kept in the absolute best possible environment, you know. So the way to do that is a nice cool room, and yes, sadly bag them so that the paper is not exposed to air, and it'll stop it aging, which almost defeats the point, doesn't it, when you're looking to read the books. Still on the Ballantines, we've got a few more of these yet. This is the best for 1956. As you can see, you see the attraction of these, they're just fantastic. I've got one more to show you. I don't have a definitive list by any means of what was published by Ballantine. I don't even have a list of the Ballantine books, although I'm sure there must be one online somewhere, but I do seem to have an awful lot of them. Another SF one here, another author I love, Philip Jose Farmer. This is obviously imported because it's got a 2 and 6 sticker on there. We're on to Ballantine 210 now. So things have moved on a little bit. Yeah. It says copyright 1957, but we know Yeah, well, that may have been, that may have been when it was published, 57, because the book before it was the best short stories for 56. So yeah, 57 may actually be correct. I think we may have to stop it in a moment and give these a brush down. Another Star Science Fiction. This is a nice one, number 4. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I think what we'll do, we'll give these a bit of a brush off next. Okay, so in 4 convenient piles here. Well, fairly convenient piles. Let's give these a brush. Okay. Lovely. Yeah, they're coming up okay. They'll be particularly good once they've had a polish. Lovely. This is the next one. This is a later one, and this is absolutely immaculate. To be honest, this is Valentine 306. Still 1959. Look at that. That's a beauty, isn't it, that one? Here we are. Outward Urge, another Wyndham. So I don't think I've got many American editions missing now, actually. I'll have to go through and do a little inventory check and see if I am missing any of the... obviously there's some of the earlier of his SF works which I haven't got, but they're very difficult to find, and a lot of them are in like pulp digests and things like that. Here's the last of the best American short stories that I've got, the one from 1959. As I said, they did carry on and publish them into the 60s and I believe the 70s in paperback form, and they'd be ones which I think I'd love to carry on collecting them if I could find them. But they're never in the UK, they're just not over here. But you know, maybe I could do a deal with one of my American viewers and get a few sent to their address. Another Wyndham, here we are. I think this is probably the last one, but I don't know for sure till I go through. But Troubled Lichen, one of my all-time favourites. So this is my second favourite Wyndham. So after Day of the Triffids, this is the one I most enjoy. and read that one a few times. Absolutely love it. Great cover as well on that one. U.S.A. Farmer, The Lovers. This is fairly scarce, I believe, but I don't know for sure. I believe it's a harder one to track down. And these are all still Ballantines, so I really did have quite a run of Ballantine, to be honest. 1961. Another U.S.A. Farmer. This is an imported one with the TP 3 and 6 for the British edition. The Alley God. Cool stuff. And then I have got one more Ballantine for the last one, and it is Chalky, which is, I believe, one of the very last ones that Wyndham had published. Fantastic, so I'm really pleased to have had that one as well. So it looks like I pretty much did track down all of them, although I can't remember seeing the Midwich Cuckoos there, for example, so maybe I am going to need to do a little inventory check, but that's the end of the Ballantines anyway. Thin little book, this one, but absolutely fantastic. It's John Hershey's Hiroshima. Hershey went in and interviewed survivors after the bomb went off, and the result was a load of interviews with different people, and it was published as a one-off special edition of the New Yorker magazine in the States, and then it was sort of serialized and licensed right around the world, and that's the first American paperback of it. And Penguin had a fantastic definitive edition of it as well. This is another Bantam, one of my favourite vintage paperbacks of all. Absolutely love this one, and what a great cover. It just says so much, doesn't it? Martian Chronicles. It doesn't get much more classic than that, in my opinion. Look at it, superb. Absolutely, almost you could say iconic. First Bantam print in May 1951. Look at that. Awesome. Awesome is what I say. Waterlord, Day of Infamy. The story of Pearl Harbor. I don't mind a bit of non-fiction books in my collection if they're vintage paperbacks as well. And this was obviously a very historic day, wasn't it? January 1958, that one was released. Now, for the rest of it, we've got a run of Beacon paperbacks. Now, these Beacon ones were, on the whole, Beacon was a sleeve publisher, and it is incredibly collectible today. There's a few hundred to get, maybe 500-600 in fact. I've got maybe a dozen or so. I try and pick up the sci-fi ones, the SF ones. However, if it's one that I know is collectible, like by this author March Hastings, then I will obviously pick them up, because I'd be crazy not to. So March Hastings is one of those authors. She wrote a lot of lesbian fiction, and highly collectible to this day. I think she's still alive, actually. I'm not 100% sure. I think she might still be alive. So I pick up those sorts of ones, and also these science fiction ones. So these are, it's got the Galaxy science fiction logo down the bottom, so it's letting the reader know that it's SF, but then because it's Beacon, they've put like a sexy spin on it. So all these sort of Galaxy SF Beacon novels are all, they've been sort of sexed up, and they're nothing really like the books inside. Once again, they're all fairly scarce, but most of them did get released over here, I think. I'm only missing maybe one or two now to have all the Galaxy SF ones. This is quite a scarce one, the Deviants. You see, this has got a UK distributor's mark on TP. So we know that it did come out over here. But they turn up, but they're often in sort of varying conditions, shall we say, you know. But always pick these up if you see them. Troubled Star. This one says Galaxy Prize Selection on the spine there, but not on the front. So you might, you know, you just need to keep your wits about you with these if you are looking to get them. As I said, there's about 12 SF ones, I think, in total. And it's quite a tough series to put together. This is one I've had for a long time. This is Poole Anderson, Virgin Planet. I've had this one for years. I picked up 4 of these from a guy in the 90s, and he'd had some, he was a big SF fan, and he'd had them literally since they were published, so they were in beautiful condition. Unfortunately, I got rid of them, and this was one of them. So this is very much a filler, Philip Jose Farmer, but I wouldn't mind getting a better copy of this, but it was cheap. It was only like a couple of quid, so I thought, oh, I don't mind that, but wouldn't mind a better one of that. The Sex War, once again, this is SF. But they've sexed it up, basically. Sometimes they've changed the titles as well, just to try and appeal to that sort of sleaze market that was booming at this time in America. And as I said, Beacon themselves were notorious for their sort of sleaze books, and that's why they've done it. A Woman a Day, Jose Farmer. Galaxy SF on the spine here. Once again, I've never had all these out before. It's quite nice to see, and they're all in, I believe, the correct order. The Mating Cry, A. Van Vogt. You wouldn't believe that that was SF, although it does say Galaxy Prize on the front and spine. This is an expensive book. I've seen copies sell for upwards of £20 for this particular one. Something fell out over there. A Bunch of Women. This is just one of their just general sleaze ones. Kevin North. So I don't know if we've got any more SF ones to look at, but this is a bit more traditional Beacon. Quite worn, isn't it, that one? The Abnormal ones, similar to what I was saying earlier on. Very, very soft core by today's standards, but you know, back then, I guess that's what it was, you know, and highly collectible books these days, you know. Clyde Merrick was author of several books under various pseudonyms. Another beaten up old volume here. I'd never go out my way to pick these up, but if they came my way, I would definitely not turn them down. Sex 3. And then one more SF one, which I believe is possibly out of position. Yeah, this is number 312, so it should go just in there. Is Sin in Space, Cyril Judd. This is another Galaxy one. Another one which I used to have a beautiful copy of, and just got rid of a few of these back in the day, in the 90s, and regret it now because my copies were like uncirculated. They were really, really mint. But there we are. So that's all the books we're going to be looking at today. Now I'm going to need to give this latest batch a brush down. So do this first pile. And then of course we've got to give them all a polish. Do this lot first. So not really a lot of repair work to do, which was good to see, because last time I had quite a bit on. So it's good that they didn't all need masses of like gluing and spine repair, but they have needed, a few have needed the prices of stuff coming out. And to be honest, they've not been that dusty either, which may be a reflection of the fact that they were American editions, and they've been stored in sort of different environments over the years compared to maybe in British homes. Lovely. All right, so that's them all done. So the last sort of step of the process then is to get them all polished. Okay, so we're right back to the start. I've got my Mr. Sheen, my all-purpose furniture polish, which I use to take off sort of fingerprints and surface dirt on certain paperbacks. If they've got nice glossy covers like this one, there's nothing to really worry about as long as you don't overdo it. So I've just done that. I've sprayed a bit onto the cloth just to get it sort of a little bit damp, and it will just pick up any dirt and grime that has attached itself over the years on these early books. And as I said, you don't need to go mental with these, but it's just, as you can imagine, in all those years, it's bound to, the books have been read several times, they're bound to have picked up some handling wear and fingerprints from dirty paws, and that's sort of what we're doing. We're getting rid of all those years of dirt. Beautiful plate dick there. Lovely. That was good. I saw a big fingerprint or something on the front of this one just disappear in front of my eyes. That was just over around there, and that's come out really, really nicely because it's really benefited from the polish doing its job. This was really nice, this one. I don't think it's going to need a lot. Some of these were just great copies, and they're as good as they're ever going to be. Other ones were I've had for a long time, and they're never going to be, they're going to really benefit from having a wipe. Such as that one. It's really, really nice, but it looks even better now. Gorgeous one. I don't think the book's up to much, but what a great cover that is, with the woman face down in the water there. Obviously she's being murdered. something is afoot. Lovely. So that Jules Verne that I wasn't 100% sure about, but still nice to have. Movie tie-in. I think I've had this one a long time, you know. And it's really benefited actually from having that wipe down. I mean, noticeably that one. This was a bit beaten up to begin with, to be honest, so I don't expect to do wonders on this one. I still think it's lightened it a little. This is the Agatha Christie that I got a few years back. Nice glossy cover on that one, but still quite beaten up. Can't do much more than that with that one. This is the Asimov that we repaired. That glue is going to take another day or two to really set properly. There we are, so that's the first little stack done. Bradbury now, so let's give the cloth a bit more of a wipe, put it onto a cleaner bit. It is amazing how much dirt comes off these. I'm always amazed every time we do this sort of exercise at how much dirt gets lifted off these whole paperbacks. So I'm happy to report that since last week when I was filming in massive heat, the temperature has, thankfully where I live in the UK, dramatically dropped. So we're back to sort of normal temperatures again now, which is good news, because it was at one point a little bit overbearing filming here in the studio with such extreme heat. But we're okay now, we're in the good zone again. This is really nice, this Arthur C. Clarke. Lovely. Moving the cloth along a little bit to try and find a clean spot. Of course, I'm doing these in slightly reverse order. So this was just the pile as it came to me. So we're going back in time, as it were. But that's okay. They're all getting the treatment, and that's what's important. So Ballantine books were created by Ian and Betty Ballantine when they bought basically the sort of the rights from Alan Lane for some of his penguins that they were distributing for him over in America, sort of just after the war. And that's when it sort of became its own entity, as it were. They were both publishing experts, a husband and wife couple, and that's where the name Ballantine came from. It was from the original founders, Betty and Ian. I'm pretty sure Ballantine is still around today. Can't do much with that one. It's a very old, sort of worn copy of Mute Witness there. Be careful with these last few Chester Himes, these are very expensive volumes. Lovely. Okay, next pile then, back in order, I hope. As in publishing order and by publisher. A couple of books fall off behind me, off the bookcase. I think it was the ghost of the studio. There's all the shaking I've been doing, polishing these books probably. Occasionally hitting the camera there, sorry about that. Just can't get the staff, you know. Do look good, don't they? All these Valentines. Got to say, I think I will do a dedicated video since I've got them all out, and I'll pop that on my other channel with a little bit of history about the company, because they are rather nice. So I hope you have enjoyed looking through these American paperbacks. Certainly I haven't set eyes on some of these for ages, and it's been really good fun. And some of them would have obviously been covered on my other channel over the years, but it was nice to get them all out in one hit. And as I said, next week's I'll definitely get out the remainder, which is about the same amount again of American publishers, and we'll go through those as well. Just get those up. And the last little pile here to do now, and then we'll all be done for another week. Sad times. Obviously, if you are craving more, you can always go over to my other channel. Always new and interesting stuff going out over there. A lot of dirt came off that particular one. So there we go. Hope you have enjoyed this video. I certainly have. I think it's been fantastic. Covered a lot of really cool books. If you have, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and do please subscribe if you're not already for regular vintage cleaning book videos. As we said, we got next week's already organised, which is part 2 of my American book collection, vintage paperback collection. At least the ones which don't warrant their own sort of special video. I reckon I've probably got around another 100 or so, around the same sort of amount of books for us to have a look through again next week. So until then, thanks once again for watching, and I'll see you next Saturday with another video. Bye.